Yo, 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 it's your main man, CD Rome from Watch Your Narrative podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the next episode. Thank you guys for of all the comments that we've been getting. We've been getting a lot of interaction. And we just want to let everybody know we appreciate it. So what we do have on Spotify on our anchor page, there is a way for you to get interactive with us and for us to be able to respond back to you as well. So go to our anchor page. That will be in the link of our episode. The content will be for you to go to the voice message. Leave us a voice message, 30 seconds or less. If it's more than that, we may not be able to put it in the episode, but if it's 30 seconds or less, we should be able to get it on the episode. We'll be able to hear whatever questions you got, whatever narratives you want to tackle, whatever questions you want to ask, or something that you think that we got wrong. Please go in and let us know. We want to talk to you guys. We want to dedicate that time to the people who listen. So we appreciate you guys listening. So don't forget, we are on Spotify. We are on Amazon Music. We're on Pandora, Google Podcasts. I mean, literally, you can simply go to your phone and say, okay, Google, play Watch Your Narrative podcast.
All right, here's the latest episode of Watch Your Narrative, The Beard Greater Than D.
There you go. And then from there, it will literally play the latest episode of Watch Your Narrative podcast. And of course, don't forget, guys, we are on YouTube. So without further ado, we got a great topic that we're talking about. We are going to be breaking down the top 5 greatest point guards to ever play the game of basketball. The top 5 point guards. Man, I cannot wait. We got our panelists. They sent in a list. That list will then accumulate some points to break down, Watch Your Narrative, greatest point guards to ever play this game. I cannot wait. So, guys, without further ado, let's definitely get ready to tip this thing off. Yo, it's your main man, CD Rome, back live in effect, Watching Narrative podcast. We definitely got a good topic, good episode ready for you guys. Let's get this thing kicked off. We got our main man, Ace Boogie with the hoodie back. What's up, Ace?
What's up, man? I'm ready to talk about this all-time point guard list, man. I think it's gonna be a very interesting discussion, especially how it's set up. Could see some surprise faces.
Real quick, who you think are not gonna be on it?
Quick. Well, I think that is not gonna be on it.
Not.
Oh my God. Well, I'm just gonna have to pick the low-hanging fruit, man. I'm gonna have to go with Kyrie Irving.
We're gonna see. Yo, what's up?
You better not be on it.
And B Mays, who lover? What's up, man? Welcome back to the Watch Your Narrative podcast.
What's up, fellas?
What's up?
Glad to be back. I've been away for a few weeks, so glad to be back.
Yeah, man. And real quick, let me ask you. So, who do you think should be on the list?
Speaking for myself, I'm gonna go one guy I can think of off the top of my head that probably is on the outside is Jason Kidd.
Ooh, that probably won't make it.
Probably won't make it.
J Kidd was my boy too. J Kidd was my boy.
Yeah, I do. That's a good one because
Yeah.
he was
Hey,
he was a bad boy.
Hey, well, let's get it, guys. Let's get it. So, without further ado, like I said before the episode, this list came from the panelists of Watch Your Narrative hosts that all came together, put their list together of their top 5 point guards, and then it all accumulated points. So that way, what you have that you're about to hear and watch is going to be Watch Your Narrative's top 5 point guards of all time, not just now, but of all time. So let's get into it, man. Number five. John Stockton at number 5. Number 5 from the Utah Jazz, John Stockton. Oh my goodness. What can I say about this guy? All-time leading assists, all-time leader in steals. Man, John Stockton. Okay, here we go. We got the stats pulled up here for our audio people. We'll kind of read them. John Stockton averaged 13 points per game, 10.5 assists, 2.7 rebounds, while shooting from the free throw line 82%, while also shooting from the three. And this is before threes was really, this was 80s and the 90s. Threes weren't really popular like that. 38% from three, but he only attempted 1.5 threes per game. Can you imagine if he played in today's era?
Right.
Oh my goodness. Shooting also 51% from the field as well, and actually had an average of 9 field goal attempts per game. So I mean, we're talking about true point guard here, true point guard. And let's not forget, I'm sorry I missed this, 2.2 steals per game as well. Number 5, John Stockton. Boogie, talk to us. What you think?
Well, I think it's a little low. Not gonna lie to you. I do think it's a little low for him. Because he was the prototypical point guard. Like, he was literally a point guard that could probably, he knew how to control the offense. He was also like when you think of John Stockton, you see the steals numbers, but he wasn't really a person that kind of hovered around in the lanes, but he was really a person that could really guard on ball. Very physical player. He definitely deserves to be on this list, but I think number 5 is a little low. I'm interested to see who's in front of him.
Who lover? What you think?
This is exactly where I had him. And I'll be quite honest. I almost left him off for Jason Kidd, and that's even with him being the all-time assist and steals leader. But I also had to take into totality his career, what he meant to the position. And so I had him at 5. So I went back and forth between him and Jason Kidd for a while. I was like, nah, I can't not have Stockton on there, but Jason Kidd resonated with me a little bit more too.
Yeah, Jason Kidd was a bad boy, man. But John, especially like in the prime years for the Utah Jazz, man, he was giving you like 17 and 15, bro. Like,
yeah, he really, again, he isn't underrated because he wasn't quite as athletic as you would see maybe some point guards today. So like you said earlier, he wasn't somebody that was really shooting passing lanes. He did some of that, but a lot of what he did steals wise was, really on the ball. And he was undersized. Maybe not for the time, but for today's game, he would be considered an undersized point guard. He was 6'1", 175. And so, he was, definitely one of those guys that would stick his nose in there. He had a little bit of a reputation for being dirty, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. I mean, he played 20 seasons, so he obviously did something right. So five,
Yeah.
I think, is where I had him. But I
Yeah.
agree with where it is.
Yeah, but I think we all agree that he just definitely deserves to be on the list for sure, no matter
Oh,
where he's at.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
couldn't not leave him off. I couldn't leave him off. The
Yeah.
Yeah,
off-
because there was a name that there was a couple of names that I kind of teetered on.
Mhm.
And I'm sure we'll discuss at the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't leave John Stockton on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
just
mean,
can't.
10-time All-Star,
Yep.
11-time All NBA selection, guys.
Mhm.
11-time All NBA, 5-time All Defensive as well. So that's where them, like the steals, and it wasn't just like, you hear Allen Iverson get the steal. Like it was on ball, as Boogie talked about. I mean, if there was a few people that actually, Gary Payton, he talked about who they, I think they asked him, like, who did you hate to guard? And out of all the point guards that he matched up against, and Magic included, right?
Right.
First person he said was John Stockton. He was like,
Yeah.
because on one end, like you couldn't just play with the ball, because next thing you know, you look down, it's gone. And then the other side of it was just like coming off that pick and roll with him and Karl Malone. He said, man, that boy was a nightmare, a nightmare. So shout out to John Stockton, man. And I'm a guy who loves to pay homage to the guys that kind of like paved the way for a lot of the point guards that we see, or just the players that we see. So came into the game in 84 too. So like for him to, let's be honest, like 10-time All-Star, 11-time All NBA. And you think about the talent that was in the league in the 84 in the 90s. Man, so shout out to John Stockton. If it was not for that bald-headed gentleman from Chicago, may have had a couple championships. So, but I think a
Yeah.
lot
I
of people
think,
say that.
and one thing too, one thing that, and I try to be consistent with when I talk about these kind of things. When you're, again, it's the same thing that I count against. I'm not gonna say I count against, but I think we have to take into consideration too that in the 80s you could hand check. Defense
Right.
was a lot easier to play
Mhm.
than it is now. The rules weren't written to score points and to sell tickets. It was, the rules are different. So I
Yeah,
think a lot of what he got away with, or was not got away with, a lot of things that he did well, were also a product of how the rules are written too. I don't know that style would work now just with the way the rules are written. If we ever see the rules go back, I would be for that, just to kind of balance it out a little bit. But I do think that he still, with that said, that's a testament to how gritty he was and how tough he was. Because again, to be that physical and to be small and to play 20 years,
yeah,
is really a
And,
testament to how tough
and
he was.
and to your point, Hoop Lover, he played 20 years. And do you
Yeah,
know that
it's a
there was
long
only
time.
2 seasons that he did not play every single game? There was
Right.
only 2 seasons out of 20 years that he
Yeah.
didn't play
And,
every single
and
game.
look right
That's
and look at
crazy.
the stat. I mean, there's only two game. He started 1,300 or 1,500 games that he played.
mhm,
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah. A lot of games played. A lot of games played. All right, man. Number 5, John Stockton, man. Well deserved, well deserved. But let's move forward. Number 4, who we got? Yeah, the big O, Mr. Original triple double himself, Oscar Robinson. Oscar Robinson. I think that I love this. I actually love this spot for the big O at number 4. I mean, one of the guys that, even from an off the court standpoint, one of the guys that kind of pioneered what we see as far as free agency goes. So we'll talk about Oscar here. 25.7 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 9.5 assists. So that's really, really amazing. 1.1 steals. Like I said before, 7.5 rebounds, shot 83% from the free throw. of course, 3 points weren't a thing, so we ain't gonna talk about it. But shot 48 and a half from the field. So one of those guys, man, one of those guys, also a champion as well. So let's make sure we put that on there, put that on his name. So what do you think? We'll start Hoop Lover. What you think, man? What's your thought?
Actually, this is lower than what I had Oscar. I had Oscar a little higher. Just again, we're taking into consideration no 3-point line. Guy averaged almost 26 points a game. Like you said, almost 50% from the field. 12-time All-Star. You know, he was an NBA champion, 15 seasons, 26,000 points. I mean, he's getting buckets, and he is, to me, the prototype for the utility player that you see now. Because he could play point guard, and at 6'5", he was bigger than every point guard to that point. I mean, they had no answer. He was probably as big as many small forwards at that time, playing through the 70s. And so, I mean, Oscar Robertson, to me, he could have been higher, but he definitely is one of the top 5 point guards ever. I mean, there's really not much argument at all in my estimation. And of course, turnovers weren't tracked then, so that wasn't a stat that they kept at that point. But I mean, and he's playing 42 minutes a game. So, I mean,
Guy was tough.
Yeah.
Boogie, get on in here, man. I see it on your face, man. What's up?
So, I hate to be this guy, man, but I ain't even have it on my list. I'm gonna tell you why. Okay. I think it's time for us to maybe realize that some of the players that played in the 60s and 70s, man, it was a completely different NBA, completely different landscape, completely different game, right? And I think to play point guard, you have to be a little bit more skilled now to really make an impact in this game. And I just got an example for you, right? Like, if you want to get some work done, would you get a truck from the 60s to do some hard work, or would you rather get one of these brand new Ford or Chevy trucks? It's got a little bit more power, a little bit more juice, right? Just because a truck may have been a classic back then, don't mean that it's the best thing now. And Oscar Robertson, I mean, he good and everything, and I ain't trying to disrespect the man, but I think there's other players that deserve to be on the top 5 list more than him. That's just me. If we're gonna put him on there, then Russell Westbrook's got to be on there, got to be above him, and I don't think he's.
So you want a new truck? You want a new truck that won't start half the time? That's
no, I ain't saying that. I'm just saying sometimes.
You want a truck that's gonna. You want a truck that's gonna look nice, sound great, but you're gonna be filling it up every 2 days. It's not gonna be
but you get more out of it. You get more out of that truck than you get out of that old truck. See that old classic, it just ain't. The times change. You can dump rocks in that old truck. You can dump rocks, mud, cement. You can haul furniture. And that truck will still be kicking. So let me ask you this. Can I ask you this? Can I ask y'all this?
Go ahead.
And I'm just being honest. Has any of us seen Oscar Robertson play? Has any of us really? I can't even remember any highlights from him hooping.
Yeah, I mean, but we're talking also numbers too. I mean, the numbers don't lie.
But to me, it's a totally different. I'm sure we'll talk about it because we're going to visit this conversation again. Yeah. When we get to the top 5 centers, because I'm telling you, we got to catch up with the times. Just because you first don't mean you the best. And I'm sorry. Oscar Robertson. There are at least 5 point guards that are better than him.
Because you're the latest doesn't mean you're the best either.
That's true.
Just because you're the most recent version doesn't make you the best either.
That's true. But I mean, okay. Well, so can I ask you this though, Hoop Lover?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned it, and there was a point that I was going to bring up, and this is part of the reason why I didn't put Oscar Robertson on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are so many statistics that are tracked now that were not tracked when
true.
Oscar Robertson was playing. So
Very true.
I just want to use this as a hypothetical.
That's true.
What if Oscar Robertson averaged a triple double, but also averaged 7 to 8 turnovers a game?
Right.
Would that change your mind on how he was as a point guard?
Absolutely. If he was a point guard, and that because he would be a point guard, and primarily because he would have the ball in his hands most of the time. If he averaged, especially then, if he averaged 7, 8 turnovers, number one, if he averaged 7, 8 turnovers, probably wouldn't be Oscar Robertson. We never heard of him. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, he averaged 4 turnovers. Okay. No, I'll tell you what. For the sake of argument, let's say he averaged 3.8 turnovers, right? Then would that change how you view him?
Should 3.8, I think is high, but I would have to see him as a player.
I'm glad you said that's high, because that's going to come back to bite you, I think.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Because you to a corner and you didn't even realize.
But I'm just saying. I figured there's somebody on this list who's probably got 3.8 turnovers. But what I'm saying is, like, it's tough for me to put somebody on the list when there's information there's information that we don't know.
I feel
we don't know how many turnovers.
And I knew that would.
We don't. 3 points weren't even a thing.
I know, and I know that would be. I knew that would be a sticking point for some people, because it is, and I'm not a purist to the point where I'm gonna completely ignore what I see going on now or 10 years ago or even 15 years ago. It's a completely different game. Now, employing that same logic, because the rules were different, because defensive players could do whatever they want to do, for a guy to average 27 points, almost 26 points, whatever it was, a game, and to average a triple-double almost for his career in an era where the defense could do pretty much whatever they want and get away with it, that, to me, that says either we're discounting what he could do offensively or we're inflating what offensive players can do today. Neither of which I think is true. I just think is you have to look at it differently. I think, you're gonna have trade-offs somewhere. When you change the rules, one side of the game is going to be affected one way or another. So it just depends on. That's why I said if we had a set criteria to go on, it would be a lot easier to do these lists. But we kind of have a general consensus on what we're going on. But I think if we had, hey, these are the 10 criteria we're using, and go from that, I think it'd be a lot easier to do these lists. But this is good for discussion. I feel where you're coming from. I see your logic. It's like, the guy.
But you know what I think is interesting though? Because I had to look this up, and I just looked this up, right? And this is another reason. So I think this is actually kind of funny. Do you know how many when Oscar Robertson was in the prime of his career, which is in the 1960s? Do you know how many teams were in the NBA?
Probably 6.
There was 8 teams.
Okay, yeah.
There's 8 teams.
Right. What does that mean, though?
Okay, so I want you to think about this.
I want you to think about this. Of winning
8 teams times, let's just say 10-man roster. That's 80 players. That's right. 80. If you were just that guy, like, I mean, the sample size, bro.
No,
like,
I mean, but listen though. But okay, so I hear that. But think about it this way: nowadays in the league, we're talking 450 players.
Thank you.
Right.
Where you have maybe 25 that are actual stars.
Yeah.
Maybe
80 players. Right. I mean, you're
talking quality over quality.
The highest.
No, we're not
players.
No, come on. No, the quality. Would you agree that the game is more skilled now than it is back then?
I don't know. I think the rules are different. I think athletically, I think athletically, yes, they're way more athletic. 9 times out of 10, you may have one guy from the '60s that would be able to do what somebody in now could do, maybe one out of every 10. However, I don't know that it's skill because what are we saying this criteria is? You can't, it's impossible to judge that because everything, you just like you say, everything was different. Think about it. Nutrition was different.
Right.
Travel was different. These guys were flying. These guys were driving buses cross country from New York to Seattle, wherever.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas now you get to your next city in 2 hours.
Right.
You play in Minneapolis one night.
I'm with you.
You in LA the next. LA 4 hours later. It's different. You staying at the Four Seasons as opposed to a Roach Motel.
Right.
So it's or traveling by train, whatever. It's a little different. So
but
you got to factor all that in. But I'm
you might can factor all that in. But I feel like the same argument that you might be used is I can use it against y'all because for there to only be 8 teams in the NBA, 8 teams, right? Not to mention in the '60s, I mean, let's be honest. We're talking about a segregated United States of America as well in the '60s.
Exactly.
Right? So there wasn't a lot of rhyme and opportunity for possibly some better athletes to come through. So I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest, bro.
Imagine Big O going into a place like St. Louis in the '60s, where he might have been afraid for, hey, is somebody gonna come?
It happens every year.
The windows in the hotel versus, hey, now.
But hey, they deal with the same thing in Boston and Utah every year. Ain't nothing.
They still deal with that. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So I mean, bro, I'm just saying.
The climate of the country,
dude. 8 teams in the NBA, bro, playing in the '60s. And I'm just saying, I don't know what the '60s basketballs look like, but when I look at the NBA rewinds from the '80s, it's a totally different game.
Oh,
bro.
Absolutely. I'm not.
But I will say this, don't forget he was a league MVP as well.
With 8 teams, 8 teams, they got to pick somebody. And then honestly, when you look at it, his career trajectory too, when he won the chip, bro, he was like only averaging like 10 and 8 or something like that.
He got one more chip. He got one more chip than somebody else you already mentioned on this list. That you put on this list.
Let's be honest.
One more chip than
the only reason why he didn't win no chip, he went up against the best player in history.
But listen,
2 years into his career, or whatever it was, 5 years.
Oscar ran into Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain too. So he played in that era too, where dominated.
Jerry West and Rick Barry and
who did he win the championship against?
Well, I know he won it with played with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I know that. So that's all you need.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee. That's all he needed was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, But hey, listen, number 4, Oscar Robertson. Y'all, hey, listen, we want to hear your thoughts, Narrative Nation. Did we get it right?
I just know that somebody on my list is gonna get left off, and I know that my 5 is definitely deserving.
All right, so, let's go. Let's go, producer Dave. Let's see what we at. Number 3, guys. Number three. Let's see what we got. Number 3. Any guess?
Okay, well, the top 3 it's got to be 3 names. It better be Isaiah. Oh,
hey, Isaiah.
We'll take it.
Zeke. Isaiah Thomas. I think you're right, Boogie. I think you're right. I think this is a great selection, man. Isaiah Thomas, one of the bad boys, one of those point guards that, to me, as a small guard, we talked about this on the podcast before, as a small guard, dominated, was still able to be dominant at his size, especially in a league that was really transitioning from big men to guard. So Isaiah Thomas averaged 19.2 points per game, while also I see 9.3 assists, 3.6 rebounds, shooting 75.9% from the free throw line. Man, it's a little bit lower than I would have thought. Shooting 29% from the 3-point line, but of course only attempting 1.4, and then a field goal percentage of 45.2. So Isaiah Thomas, guys, Isaiah Thomas. Let's Boogie. What you think?
Yeah, I think this is a good spot for him. This is on my list. This is exactly where I had him. I mean that dude, especially to be as small as he was. I mean, he could dominate the game, especially in the prime of his career. I mean, we talked about. I was giving John Stockton props for averaging 17 and 14. Isaiah Thomas was giving you like 22 and 14. Like, I mean, he was a primary scorer and was also a great orchestrator of the offense, man. So, yeah, I mean, he gets his respect, especially man winning them chips, man. So, I agree with it, man.
Yeah. What you think? Who?
Yeah, I had him. I actually had him in flipped. I had Isaiah 4. But I certainly don't have a problem with him being 3. I mean, Isaiah was like that. I mean, at his
Like
size,
that.
he was like that, and like he was really like he was almost like a Harlem Globetrotter with the ball.
Yeah.
But it was under control. Like it was controlling offense, and he was really in a perfect situation being with Detroit in the in the 89-90, or was it 80, was it 90-91 that they won? Yeah, it was 89-90 and then 90-91 they won. With Dumars with him, John Sally, Dennis Rodman, Lambier, Mahorn, like that team allowed him to kind of just set everybody up because he was really him and Dumars were really the scoring that they had, and they complemented each other really well. So yeah, I have no problem with him at 3. Like I said, I had higher. I think it was because of maybe the total points scored all time. I think that was kind of the separator. But Isaiah has 2 rings as opposed to the one for So definitely, and he did it in I think one fewer season if I'm not mistaken. I think he played 14. I think I have him playing 14. So he was 12-time All-Star.
Yeah, he didn't play tons of seasons. Once he had a wrist injury that kind of took his.
Mm-hmm.
But so I was watching something another pod. I just want to get you guys' take on this. It was another pod where I heard someone say Isaiah Thomas was overrated.
Whoa.
When you hear like Isaiah Thomas and overrated, what do you guys thought?
What they based it on?
Yeah, but I want to know why.
So the comparison was for Isaiah Thomas and for John Stockton, who also played in it basically the same time frame that Isaiah Thomas. But the difference was, for one, we talked about John Stockton already, 5-time all defensive, right? Steals leader, all these different, and while also still averaging 10 assists a game. And as we saw, I don't know if we paid attention. Now when I seen this a little bit, it kind of made me thought about this, because if you look at the shooting percentage, 45% to John Stockton's 51%, also from the 38% for John Stockton. And I mean, Isaiah Thomas was under 30. In today's league, he would be known as just leave him open. So I never really thought about this until I start seeing some of these numbers here. But John Stockton numbers are incredible and was a 2-way defensive player.
Right.
I think the only thing that separates the two is the fact that Isaiah Thomas has a championship. So
2. That's a big difference.
2
as the lead dog. Like
yeah.
the fact with Utah though, Utah was Karl Malone's team. John Stockton was the second fiddle to Karl Malone. Mm-hmm. Isaiah Thomas was that guy.
Yeah.
And he may not have been a 2-way player, but the way that team was built, he had to be no lockdown defender.
Yeah,
They had dogs.
They had
around
a bunch of defenders. I mean, he was good on that. To me, numbers only take us so far. Numbers only can get me so far in a discussion. Because numbers, I mean, you can't argue numbers. Numbers are what they are. But to me, when I haven't seen John Stockton play, haven't seen Isaiah Thomas play with my own two eyes, and maybe I'm showing my age here, but I always kind of think of it. If I gotta, when we take the numbers into account, they walk in the gym, and I got last pick. Who do I want? And for me, for my money, is Isaiah Thomas. Am I gonna be upset that I got John Stockton if somebody else picked him? No, of course not. I can probably still win with John Stockton, but if I got the pick, I'm going Isaiah Thomas. So I don't.
So let me ask you this.
I don't know. Yo,
let me ask you this. So,
knowing what I know about their games,
right. Yeah. So I guess what I'm asking you is why I'm so surprised that why would you put Oscar Robertson ahead of Isaiah Thomas when you haven't seen Oscar Robertson play? You just gone off of numbers.
To me, I can only make that account for some of the discussion. Some of this is just like, again, I could have left John Stockton off my list if I could have justified doing it.
Yeah, but I could have too. Yeah, I understand.
Stock, he was. You got. I mean, a guy 6'1" that leads, all-time assist. I mean, and it's not even close. Like it's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's way, he put it way out there. He put the record way out there. So it's like, that's not easy to do. So it's something intangible there as well that you can't quantify with numbers. Oscar Robertson, I'll admit, that's more of a lifetime achievement award placement on the list for me. I'm making enough to say that. Although his numbers are there.
No, they're there. But to me, I almost hate to say this, and I really do. And I may
you're gonna say it, of course.
I'm gonna say it. To me, any NBA player that played before what we consider the modern NBA, we can give them their flowers, but I don't think that they deserve to be on some of these lists.
So I'm gonna tell you this, because we just got the numbers up there. Producer, if you can go back and I want to see. Let's look at Isaiah numbers, and then let's look at the Big O numbers. Because let's be honest, like the numbers actually aren't that close. Like, I mean, if we just look from just from a shooting.
To me, you can only
Big O. Like, there's no way. Like, no. Listen. Honestly, I'm being honest. I had Isaiah in this direct spot. Isaiah is definitely loved by me.
I love. I said, I'm a, in heart of hearts, I'm a Detroit Pistons fan. Yeah, so I mean, Isaiah Thomas is like, he in Detroit, man, he's like
that guy.
That guy, he's him. Yeah. But to me, you can only compare numbers if the standard is the same across the board.
That's my point. That's my point.
Right. So what I'm saying is, it's easier for us to compare John Stockton, right, Isaiah Thomas, or any of the point guards probably on your list, Jason Kidd. It's easier to compare their numbers to some of the current standards that we see now, because like John Stockton and Isaiah Thomas played in like the modern NBA. Back then when Oscar Robertson played, it's totally different. You got to think the assist title he got.
But in 20 years, when our kids are having this podcast, they're gonna say LeBron. They're gonna say Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. That's not modern basketball. So it always changes. Time just keeps
but here's the thing. We have to be okay. We have to be okay saying, you know what?
I'm fine with that. If we want
the past NBA just wasn't as good as the modern NBA.
I'm not going to say that either.
We got to.
Players. We're not talking about the league as a whole. We're talking about individual players.
I know, but Brandon, hoop lover.
You're changing the discussion.
We got to understand though, like I have not seen a single basketball game on TV with Oscar Robertson. So in my heart of hearts, I can't pick them. I've seen games. No, but I'm saying I've seen games of some of the older players. John Stockton, I remember those games as like a little child. But when they come on NBA Rewind, I still watch those games because it's like, man, like those were like,
because that's what if we had a 60-year-old dude on this podcast, he would be able to tell you why Oscar Robertson should be on this list.
Exactly.
probably not.
It's
Probably
perspective. It's
Probably
perspective,
not, man.
bro.
I ain't gonna lie to you,
There's
man. 'Cause
always
my dad don't even remember Oscar Robertson, man.
Okay.
You
Well,
had to have a TV.
I know. I'm not that old. I know Jesus was alive for one time. I didn't see him, but I still know he was alive.
Thank you. Like, what I'm saying?
Hey, that's a perfect man. We talking about an imperfect Oscar Robertson who we
No,
have
I
not
see
seen
his
play,
point,
but
though.
he
I
only
see
played
his
against
point.
8 teams. He only
Dave's
played against
okay,
8 teams.
Dave's point is sound.
Listen here, though. So we talking about, of course, he was a champion. He was also a Rookie of the Year. He was a 12-time All-Star. He was also 11-time All-NBA, right? 7-time assist leader. So, I mean, this, like, let's not disrespect. Yes, the league was different. We can't
8
control
teams.
that. Bill, so do we like discredit the fact that Bill Russell got 11 titles? We don't.
Oh, yeah, we definitely do. That's why we don't consider Bill Russell the best player of all time.
No, it ain't got nothing to do with the titles.
No,
It's
yes,
just-
it do. Yes, it does.
Yeah, somewhat.
How in the
He's
world do
definitely
you have a player that won 11 titles and you
I
don't consider
said
him
this-
to be
I
the best player of all time?
I said this on.
That's not because it's a team game. Number one, it's not tennis
Oh, my
or
God.
I
golf.
said this on the
But,
last
but when we
podcast.
talk about Michael
I
Jordan, that's
said-
the first thing we talk about is 6 rings.
So hold
No,
on.
that's the first thing I talk about when I talk about six rings.
So let
I
me
mean,
say
when
this.
I talk about Jordan.
If you were to put
Who is not?
numbers with Bill Russell's rings, we would not have a discussion at all. But that's not the case.
Whose
Don't
numbers?
look at Bill Russell's numbers. Bill Russell shot 40% from the field as a big man. I'm like, he wasn't as talented and great as like Wilt Chamberlain was. He just was so dominant on the defensive end and had a better team. And
Will
that's why he got
Chamberlain
left-
Will Chamberlain ain't nobody to be compared to either. Will Chamberlain was the biggest person, like probably in America.
Well, it don't matter.
He was
It don't
playing
matter.
against
That man
the
averaged
average height
58.
that he was playing against was
30
like
and-
7 or 8 inches under him.
30 and 22. I don't care nothing about it.
I
That
know,
man,
man.
for his
he was
career.
He was playing against
So then,
kids. Hey,
what JP wants is for us to cut. He wants basketball to have not existed before 19.
No.
Before the 80s.
No.
We can have
no.
that discussion too,
No,
but I submitted my
Well,
list of all time.
Right. No, I understand
means
all
all
time.
time.
No, I
All
understand
time.
all time. But listen, this is what I'm saying.
Who defines
Is
what modern basketball is? Who defines
well, I mean, modern
Who
basketball would
defines
have to be
what year
a
is
semblance.
modern basketball?
80s,
No, what year is modern basketball?
the 80s.
Okay, so go ask your son or my son if the 1980s is modern basketball,
Not at
Okay,
all.
no, guess what? It's gonna change. Modern changes.
and then let them ask their kids 20 years
Right.
from
No,
now.
that's
what's
what I'm
modern
saying.
basketball.
Go back and
But
watch
what I'm
Jordan.
saying is,
Ask
we
my
have-
grandfather what's
Okay.
modern basketball.
I'm going to tell you this.
It changes.
And I'm with you. But what I'm saying is,
It's a sliding scale.
bringing it back to cars, right? The Model T. The Model T was a wonderful invention. It was
And
a
it's
beautiful
And
thing.
if you had one, you have
allowed
$10 million today.
No, but what I'm saying is it's amazing. But when we talk about the best cars of all time, nobody's going to talk about the Model T. Nobody.
You know
So
who
just
you
because
ask.
just
It depends on
because
who you ask, which is entirely my point.
oh,
If we're saying you can't name the best car before the 1960 Mustang was invented, fine. Then we go from 1960. If you want to say modern basketball started in 1985, 1991, 2000, whatever, that's fine.
Okay.
But this discussion was all time.
all time. So
If
can
you
I
want
ask
to
you
cut
this?
it off, fine. We can
So
have
can I
it.
So
Go
so
ahead.
so let's just say, back when like when Wilt and them were playing,
Mhm.
at one point in time the NBA only had 6 teams,
right.
right? So would it be fair? Would it be fair to maybe to just give a player an all-time ranking, right? To put him in the top 5 when some of other players who are putting up similar stats, right, but are playing against better competition. Right?
Bro,
Why are we just giving it to Oscar Robertson because like I said, if
we
we're going to give it to Oscar Robertson
athletes, true. But are they really better basketball players as a whole? As a whole, is the league top to bottom full of better basketball players or better athletes?
Yes.
Because what are we
Yes.
saying?
Absolutely, yes.
I don't know the answer. I'm just saying.
Because the reason why I'm saying, and my only problem with this is if you put Oscar Robertson on there, Russell Westbrook's got to be on this list too. He did exactly what Oscar Robertson did. He did exactly. No, he did exactly what Oscar Robertson did, and he did it times 3.
What? I mean, what did he do?
What did he do?
He averaged a triple double.
Well, congratulations, but I'm sorry, that's not for me. That doesn't get you on the all-time list.
I don't think that we brought up triple doubles not one time. I didn't break it up. I said Mr. Triple Double.
I have it on a couple. I have a couple, but I think it's on the
because everything I talked about for him was a championship, was an MVP.
One championship that he won off of the back, off of the back of the best big man ever.
11-time All NBA. You know how many times Isaiah was all-time NBA? Do you know how many times he was All NBA?
We got Boogie.
Hey, hold on, no, because hold on, because no, let me. Hey,
answer the question.
CD-ROM. No,
how
CD-ROM.
many times was Isaiah Thomas All NBA?
Guess how many. Hold on. Do you understand that when Oscar Robertson was playing, there was only one All NBA team, right? There was only one. With 80 players. So the percentage of Oscar Robertson getting on an All NBA team was a lot higher than Isaiah Thomas getting on an All NBA team.
Well, because they had 3.
Right. How many times they made?
I mean, you talking about?
Hold on. Let's do. Hold on. See, go ahead, CD-ROM, because I'm about to do quick math for you all.
Yeah, it wasn't just one. You know, it wasn't just one. So my whole thing is this: I don't want to disrespect Isaiah Thomas, but I'm so serious. When I heard that somebody said he was overrated. Matter of fact, this was on the No Chill with Gil. Gil was the one who said it. Shout out to Agent Zero. Now, when I first heard it, I was like, this is ludicrous. But as we're researching here, and I'm looking at this, and I know somebody brought up the 3.8 turnovers, and looks like it was Isaiah Thomas. And it wasn't even him.
He did, but that wasn't who I was talking about. But go ahead.
I mean, no, but at least we know his turnovers. Yeah. At least we know his.
Yeah.
I mean, like if I could be absolutely honest, right? That's like dating. That would you rather date a girl that you know maybe had something, or would you rather date a girl who you don't know? You just absolutely clueless.
Does it matter if you don't know?
Right.
I don't. What?
Because she could be lying to you. Is she showing you her health records?
Yeah, I know, right?
What are we talking about?
Man, but no.
All right, so you're saying so I understand you correctly. I know we got to move on, but you saying take O off and you say replace him with Russell Westbrook. Is that what I hear you?
Oh, no. I said I would, because Russell Westbrook is nowhere on my list.
Okay, so
no.
Oscar
Robertson ain't on my list either. I'm saying if Oscar Robertson is on this list, then Russell Westbrook has to be on this list. Because Russell Westbrook did the exact same thing that Oscar Robertson did.
Not a champion.
He won it. Okay, so hold on. If Russell Westbrook does the same thing that Jason Kidd did and gets the championship, then it's the same thing.
Not a champion. Not averaging 25 for his career. But we can move forward. Let's
you disrespectful. Y'all are disrespectful.
Hey, of course, these two here, I think we all know what these two are going to be. I just wonder the order that they're going to be in. This is going to be interesting. Number 2, Wardell, Steph Curry from the Golden State Warriors, of course. Well-deserved. And we're going to have a discussion. So 29 points per game, 6 rebounds, 6.3 assists. Of course, we can talk about the shooting numbers. Free throw percentage, 91.5. 3-point percentage, 42.7. And that's actually taking 11 threes, by the way. And a shooting percentage overall of 49.3. So This looks like the actual last season, actually. So
Yeah, that's the last season.
last season, 22-23. So as we can see here, the 3-point comparisons that's for the audio world. Right now, Steph Curry has 2,495 threes. He has, of course, Klay Thompson at 1,798, not even close. Damian Lillard with 1,776. Of course, James Harden in the mix as well. And then, of course, we know about Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, and all of those guys. So Steph Curry, and so we can compare. Let's go ahead, because we're going to talk about Steph, and I do have I have an interesting question. So let's see number one. And I think we all know who number one is.
Yeah, it better be Magic.
Yes, right. Irvin Magic Johnson. Magic is his name. Of course, let's talk about his stats: 19.5 points per game, while also having 11.2 assists per game. The highest we've definitely seen on the list so far. 7.2 rebounds, a free throw percentage of 84.8. A 3-point percentage is actually better than Isaiah Thomas, 30.3, while also shooting from the field 52%. So Magic Johnson, 5-time NBA champion, 3 times Finals MVP, 3 times NBA MVP, 12-time NBA All-Star. And I mean, this guy is just, Magic Johnson. But there are a lot of people who are saying Steph Curry is now the best point guard of all time. And I'm pretty sure we've talked about it before, the next generation, that probably will be the narrative that Steph Curry has surpassed Magic Johnson. To that, what do you guys think? Is Steph Curry there? Is he number one? Should he be number one? Or does Magic still hold a spot?
I think he will be by the time it's said and done. But right now, no. There's no way you can ignore. And you got to take into consideration, Magic missed 3 seasons after the HIV diagnosis. I think it was 2 or 3. So his career, he only played 13 seasons, I think 13 or 14. So I think his numbers could have probably been even higher. I think Steph can be there. I don't, but today, no, there's no way you can, not if you're really being objective, unless you got a Warriors jersey hanging up in your closet. There's no way you can say he's better than Magic at this point. And also, too, you got to think they were asked to do different things. Steph is more of really along the lines of more so Isaiah from a scoring standpoint, where he had to shoulder the load offensively. Oscar Robinson, he had to shoulder the load offensively. Magic really wasn't asked to do that. But
because who's on his team?
Who?
Magic.
Who? Magic?
Yeah.
I mean, you got what? Half of the Hall of Fame,
right.
I mean, if you look up in the rafters of the Staples Center, there's half the Hall of Fame up there. And a lot of them played with the Showtime Lakers. Worthy,
right.
Abdul-Jabbar, I think Michael Thompson. No, Michael Thompson before that. But, I mean, Michael Cooper. These guys were legends. But I think that Magic, he was Finals MVP his rookie season. That's crazy. That's insane to be the MVP, Finals MVP your rookie year. But I think Steph, taking out the 3-pointers, his accomplishment list is long for his career. He's 25 points a game almost regular season, but he's 27 points a game in the playoff. So he raises his game. He's only got, I think, 3.1 turnovers a game for his career. He's doing all this on 34.4 minutes a game too. So he's not asked to do a lot, and he's more efficient because he's taking a higher volume of shots. So there's some argument there, but I don't think you can make a valid argument today that he's better than Magic. Maybe when his career is over.
I think Steph's on the trajectory to pass Magic for sure.
Sure.
Steph, to me, because I will say, even with hand checking and everything, I think Steph Curry will probably dominate in the NBA in the
I do
80s
too.
because
I do
his game is like perimeter based, like jump shooting. So it wasn't like, you could stop Steph from driving, but he's such an elite shooter that
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like his game, no matter what era you put him in, would be ridiculous.
It's unique in what he's done because again, our conventional what we've always been taught is make the guy drive.
Right.
Right. Okay, you make him drive, he's higher field goal percentage finishing in the lane than he is for 3-point. I mean, he's
Right.
55, 60% in the lane. He can hit every shot imaginable, close, deep. Now, okay, you press up on him or you give him space. Don't let him drive, right? Okay. Oh, he ain't gonna shoot from 35 feet. Oh, yeah, he will. So that would put any defender in conflict. Like, all right, this is against everything that I'm supposed to that I've learned all my life to do on defense. What am I gonna do? You can't foul him that much. You're gonna send him to the line. He's 91% free throw shooter. So I think that argument that, oh man, if he was in the 80s, man, he would be doing exactly the same thing he would be doing now, and he probably going to the line a lot more.
Also, just looking at it too, man, but Magic Johnson averaged 4 turnovers a game.
That was my mystery guess. Which
I didn't think his turnovers was that high.
Now, in his defense, Magic took a lot of chances, and that's what made him great. That's what made him That's what made him Magic. He would take chances. Sometimes that gets you in trouble.
You know who Magic. You know who Magic reminded us of, right? It reminded us of this young brother young guy that we play ball with, James Salter. He takes those chances in transition. He's one of the listeners of our show.
It's infuriating until he makes like one pass.
The spectacular.
Like, dang, okay. Well, maybe I'll just be quiet and let him do his thing. So it's like, So
hey, shout out to James. Shout out to James. He's a listener of the show, man. Ain't nothing but love. We just joking.
Hey, that wasn't me that brought you up this time, so it wasn't me this time. That's so bad. We didn't mean to put your government name out on the internet either.
Oh yeah,
oh man, all out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, but no, I do. We say the trajectory and all of that, and actually, when I look at it with Steph, I mean, I didn't realize he don't have like a lot of the All NBA, a lot of the All NBAs on his list. I think it was like 4, and 8 All Stars. Which how long has Steph been in the league now? Since 2000.
He's got 9 All Stars.
9 All Stars. Okay, so
14. I think he's going into year 15. I think this is
15. So I mean, we're talking. 15. I mean, he's already surpassed how many years Magic played in the game, and yet he still hasn't surpassed. I think all of a Magic accomplishment. Now, I think the biggest thing for Steph that the argument will be, especially going forward, will be just how he changed the game. I mean, we haven't even truly really seen the true impact of Steph Curry yet.
Hey, what
kids that are coming up? They're the ones that are going to be shooting threes first before they just. I mean, I see kids now in the gym. I mean, they just they don't practice. What the layup? There's no
transition.
Layup. Yeah, no layup drills at all. It's just let's go to the 3-point line. Let's just shoot. Let's just shoot. So, man, the league
even the kids that are Magic size that are 6'7", 6'8". Like, what are you doing? Like, we just shooting out here for the little guys who can't
get down there and
score. Right. Get your big butt down there, away from out here, because they don't understand floor spacing. But again, in a league, that to me, that's what is so impactful, is because in a league where guys understand floor spacing, he completely warps floor spacing. Like a defense, he pulls so many people to him just by being out there that it completely warps whatever you're trying to do on defense. And you have to. I've heard so many NBA players talk about when they have to play the Warriors, the way that they move and the way that they move the ball, it completely throws you in comp. Even really great defenders, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Patrick Beverly, all these guys that are recognized as being really good defenders, to say it's just so difficult to stay focused because
he moves all
one
the
time you're dead.
Gotta stay locked in. Gotta stay locked in.
Hey, just to bring it up though.
Changed the game too, though. Magic changed the game too, so
just to bring it up. I'm not sure where did it show Steph Curry. Steph Curry's been he's been on 9 all NBA teams compared to Magic's. Magic's been to 10.
First team though.
Yeah,
he ain't been
okay. I got you. Okay, I got what you're saying.
I think he's been second and third. It's probably taking
He's been some second. Yeah, four second teams, 4 first teams. Yeah,
those two MVPs, the only unanimous one in history, even to this point.
Yes.
Which is
deserved too, man. That season there was actually when I just stopped second guessing Steph Curry because I was one of those old heads
to that point. It's like, what is he?
You can't win jump shooting.
You can't win shooting threes. You can't win shooting threes. And he won a title, and I was like, okay, but Kyrie was hurt, Kevin Love was hurt, and I think he heard everybody saying that. And I'm talking about the next year, man. I'm talking about came out.
Seems like he got better. I mean, it seems like he's like last year.
Still getting better.
He's still getting better. I think he's changed himself physically too. I mean,
he's gotten stronger.
Whereas he used to get picked on, he's not a great defender by any stretch of the imagination. But he's definitely not necessarily getting picked on like he was before. And it seems like he's made a little more dedication to that side of the game to at least be engaged on that end. Because, you used to see him, they just go at him. All right, you're going to get us on this end, but you're going to have to play defense on this end.
Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, some said it in the finals, man. They said, listen, they was hunting. They was hunting.
Yeah.
We all see it on TV. I mean, they was – whether it was LeBron or whether it was Kyrie.
And they was touching them too. Yeah,
I don't understand. I still don't understand. I still don't understand why LeBron didn't punish that matchup a little bit more than he did. That's what irks me with LeBron sometimes. It's like
he let folks off the hook.
Yeah, probably the most physically gifted athlete the NBA has ever seen.
Oh, I think NBA talent wise, there's nobody that compares.
Between him and Westbrook, they're two of the most explosive athletes you ever seen in basketball.
Yeah, but LeBron was so controlled.
Just like, bro, you got Curry on you. Whatever he doing on the offensive end, you got to punish him on this end. But
it's the mental. So let's go here. So we had top 5, right? So top 5, number 5, John Stockton. Number 4, the Big O. Number 3, Zeke, Isaiah Thomas. Number 2, Steph Curry. Number 1, Magic Johnson. Let's talk about who's missing. Let's talk about honorable mentions. Let's go there. So, kick us off. Hoop lover, I see you looking there. Go ahead. Kick us off. Who's missing?
I had Jason Kidd and Steve Nash. Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, Dame.
I appreciate you putting Dame out there, but I didn't even have him as an honorable mention yet.
Chris Paul. I mean, as much as I can't stand Chris Paul, I mean, the guy, I can't take away his accomplishments. Like, I give him a hard time, but he's still accomplished. Kyrie, Lenny Wilkins. I mean, there's a lot of Chauncey.
Yeah. So who,
I don't know. I wouldn't put Chauncey up there, but I definitely I had a hard time picking
Nate Archibald. Wow.
Nate Archibald, man. We ain't worried about him, man. Again, man, we stop looking at the classics, bro. Stop looking at the classics, man.
These dudes.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, my honorable mentions. I had a hard time leaving Steve Nash and Jason Kidd off for sure. I didn't have Oscar Robertson on there. I had Chris Paul in this place. I had Chris Paul at number 5. I had John Stockton at 4. I think Chris Paul, man, like when you talking about prototypical point guard, that dude can control an offense. And in his prime, he was actually a very good defender as well at 6'2". So to me, Chris Paul, when he retires, I think he definitely deserves to be in the top 5 list.
Yeah.
And I think he will be. I think he will be. If you ask me,
what was your top 5?
Me?
Yes.
For me?
Stockton. I had Stockton 5, Zeke 4, Robertson 3, Steph, and Magic.
Okay. All right. So okay. Thank you. Appreciate that, producer Dave. So yeah, so what we're looking at for the for audio world is Hoop Lovers list. Yes, we have Irvin Magic Johnson. We have Steph Curry, Oscar Robertson, Isaiah Thomas, and John Stockton. Excuse us for the spelling of Irving. Apologizes, Magic. But either way, that is Hoop Lovers list. I have no argument at all with the switcheroo of Oscar and Isaiah there. I mean, tomato. After me just looking at some of the stats there, and I'll be honest, I know I was looking at something from another site where it just kind of compared Isaiah Thomas. Honestly, in today's league, especially with all of the analytics that goes on, man, Isaiah Thomas the shooting percentage would actually hurt his case in a lot of ways. So I'm okay with that. Hoop Lover. What you think, Boogie? I know what you think.
I mean, no, it's not. I don't disagree with his list. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that I feel like when it comes down to when we're talking about all-time greats, I think that we can give respect and give the flowers to the ones that paved the way for what is basketball today. But I think we also had to come to the realization that there are people better than people in the past. Oscar Robinson's got the stats and everything. I understand that, but to me, when you playing against very select few teams, you don't have the same competition. I think,
Then I can only imagine what your center list is going to look like then. Because
I'm probably gonna hurt some feelings.
Oh, he gonna change. I'm gonna hurt some feelings.
Yeah, I'm about to change. Yeah, it's time. Sometimes it's okay to be rude and mean to old people. I said sometimes it's okay to be rude and mean to old people.
It's okay, bro. It's not that.
Let me say something. So I just want to say that we're all gonna get old, right? One day.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's my point, Dave.
And it's crazy.
One day.
No,
respect. But you weren't that good.
To those old. Hold on. There's a whole lot of disrespect to those old players. They played in their era, and it's not fair to say to them that they're not as good as the guys in our era. For the many reasons, they were the best in the NBA at the time. Right now, the players that are playing, the best player comes to the top. Who's to say if they had the same chances, the same training, the playing pretty much year round and focusing only on basketball? What is to say that they wouldn't succeed in this era as well? Let them play in their era. They were the best in their era, and you got to respect.
Okay, so
that you got to respect the guys that play now.
I agree 100%, but we also have to understand, and because producer Dave brought up some good points, but guess what else producer Dave was also bringing up? A whole bunch of hypothetical. When we talking about all-time lists, I don't want to talk about hypothetical. I want to talk about what we know and what we see.
Okay.
So guess what?
And what
name one of us seen Oscar Robertson play. Name one of us.
But we know the stats.
I've seen Russell Westbrook play.
We know the stats.
I've seen Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
Struggle to.
You about to make a point for me?
I've struggled to see Russell Westbrook since you used him as the case study here. I've struggled to see Russell Westbrook break 30% shooting for half a season, and that's against what we consider to be pretty favorable defensive rules for the offense. Right? You can't touch him. You can't breathe on him. You can't look at him hard. You can't call him names, or they call a foul. So if he struggles to be efficient, because he doesn't struggle to score, he struggles to be efficient, which is a lot of what I look at. So if he struggles against pretty much air, now if you send him back 40 years, where they could pretty much assault what would be considered assault charge today, where does he fit on the list then?
Imagine there was
This is no, this is no, this
back then there was no 3 second in the lane. The lanes were clogged up. He wouldn't get what he does
bingo.
now.
Okay, so
you're talking about one of the most explosive athletes the game has ever seen. And like I said, I'm a Russell Westbrook fan from the standpoint I love the way he plays. I love the way he goes about the game.
Mhm.
But I also can't argue that I think he would struggle because he doesn't have a discernible skill. He has his skill is athleticism. That's it.
Okay, but let me ask you this though.
What is his skill?
But Russell Westbrook puts up numbers though, don't he?
He does, but he's not.
Okay, hold on, listen. I'm with you. Russell Westbrook puts up numbers. So guess what? So maybe when our children look at the list, they may look at Russell Westbrook and be like, man, bro,
that's what you've been saying.
But this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Russell Westbrook puts up numbers, but I'm almost 100% sure that all of our panelists, nobody even thought about Russell Westbrook as a top 5 point guard in the league, right? Because even though Russell Westbrook puts up numbers, he's not a very good point guard. What I'm saying is we have not seen Oscar Robertson play. There are stats that weren't even recorded. So we don't even know if he was even that great of a point guard. We're just going off of this.
What stat are you missing?
Like
the turnovers. That's if we're talking about point guard, we're talking about turnovers. I'm just saying we have to.
Magic's on top of the list with 4,
and he was.
We
don't criticize him for. You think he averaged 7 assists or 7 turnovers or something?
But what I'm trying to tell you is we know Magic Johnson's. We don't know Oscar Robertson's. We don't know Oscar Robertson's. That's the whole point I'm trying to say is we're putting somebody on the list.
The turnovers?
I want you guys to understand this. Oscar Robertson, the league that he played in, basketball was not as popular back then as it is now, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oscar Robertson, when he played, okay, he was good at the sport, but guess what? If there is a very small pool, it's easier to stand out against a very small pool than it is to stand out against a very big pool. Absolutely. You guys just talked about there's 450 players in the NBA now.
That's incorrect. If you have the less people you have, the harder it is to shine.
Exactly.
No. I'm going to give you case in point. I'm going to give you case in point. We have all played basketball in basketball tournaments, right? And you can dominate and pick up ball, right, with a select few people that you know what the talent pool is. You can dominate, but if you go to a basketball tournament against people where it's a bigger sample size of people that actually know how to play ball, you can get exposed.
But your tournament isn't. You're not taking your tournament and sending it forward 32 years or sending it backwards 40 years. It's
just because he averaged that. We got to remember he was playing against. He was playing against 7 different teams. He played 60 plus games against 7 different teams.
We cannot control what.
That's true. That's true. That's what you can give him the respect, but we ain't never ever seen this man play.
Well, he on
nobody. We are putting a man on the list. We're putting a man on the list that we've never seen play.
Let's see Boogie's list.
You're right. Let's see. Yeah.
Or my list if it's next, whichever one's next. All right, there we go. All right, so Boogie's list, we have number 1, Urban Magic Johnson. Number 2, Steph Curry. Number 3, Isaiah Thomas. Number 4, John Stockton. And number 5, CP3, Chris Paul. Personally, Chris Paul is number 8 on my list. I'll go ahead and tell my list too, and you can leave his up if you want. But I got Magic Johnson at number 1. I think we all agree with Magic at 1. I got Steph Curry at 2. I actually got Zeke at 3. Oscar at 4. Stockton at 5. And then after that, let's go a little bit further from like some of my honorable mention. I have Jason Kidd right outside of that. I struggle with him in Stockton for sure. I just couldn't get over the all-time leading assists and steals, but
Steals.
Jason Kidd was right there. Steve Nash at 7, 2-time MVP. He also changed the game in his own right as far as with that in that D'Antoni system. Chris Paul's number 8 right after that. You know, I wasn't a huge fan of Chris Paul, but that guy is, like I think you mentioned already, he's just that the type of point guard. I mean, you want to drop today's era of what you want in a point guard that can, you know, control the game, especially in the fourth quarter. Chris Paul was him.
And can I, if I can make mention too, the true, I'm sorry, CD-ROM. The only reason or the only thing that held me back from Steve Nash was I just feel like playing in D'Antoni's system. I think I'm giving D'Antoni a lot of credit as a coach because that system was revolutionary. And so I think that him playing in that system, and it's the same way that, you know, I'm giving him the same treatment that I give James Harden. I just think that system kind of inflates some things.
Yeah. Well, I ain't gonna say that, but I will say this. Steve Nash, if you think about it, kind of like with John Stockton, right? He had Karl Malone and Steve Nash had Amari Stoudemire dumping that thing off, and Amari was going crazy. If you look at it outside, I mean, of course, in New York, we seen a very, very, very short, stint of him in New York before he got injured. But you know, he wasn't the same. I mean, Steve Nash was definitely setting them up, and he made a lot of guys a lot of money. All they had to do was knock down the shot.
Right.
Another person we haven't mentioned as well, I want to make sure we mention is Gary Payton, the glove. You know, that he was right behind, for me, Chris Paul, but definitely a guy that should be mentioned in a lot of lists because of, you know, what he had, what he
defensive prowess too.
Yeah, defensive. And you know, be crazy. I got Westbrook at number 11.
Ooh.
Yeah, I kind of went on ahead and did a little bit further of a list. I was really trying to think hard, but I got him right behind Walt Frazier.
So you put him in front of Dame?
Yeah, at this particular moment, and the biggest reason is, I mean, if I just look at what they both have done for the league so far, Dame, of course, I mean, he's incredible, right? But I mean, has he really done more than what Russell Westbrook has? Mr. Triple Double, MVP of the league. I mean, Dame has never been MVP of the league. I mean, it's not like he's been to a finals, so I can't say, oh, yeah, he's been to a finals, though. So, I mean, if you put the two down, if you put the best Russell Westbrook, which was his MVP season, probably the best Damian Lillard, which was probably his season, probably his
past season.
Last season, last couple seasons, I probably would still take Russell Westbrook's MVP season.
What?
Because that year,
Russell Westbrook has played with Hall of Fame talent.
I understand that. I understand that. But what I'm saying that is Russell Westbrook, that the difference is the MVP. I mean the MVP, I think he may have more all NBAs. I mean, probably more all-star selections. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I just, at this moment, Russell Westbrook has done more. I mean, Dame is still higher in his prime. So Dame can still close that gap. I mean, Dame could easily probably close his career out above maybe Steve Nash, you know.
But CD-ROM, let's talk about narratives.
Okay.
We talk about narratives.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I understand that Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double his MVP season. But let's not get it twisted.
He did it a couple times, didn't he?
Yeah, he did it a couple times. But the first year he did it is when he won the MVP.
And he could have won it again the next year.
But it's the reason why he won it was the same reason why he didn't win it. And that's because he got that MVP for sympathy.
Oh, gosh.
Kevin Durant left him high and dry. Russell Westbrook showed loyalty. And people felt sorry for Russell Westbrook. And that helped him win that MVP. I'm not saying it's not the entire reason, but that definitely helped.
I still contend that Russell Westbrook was left without a chair when the music stopped. I don't think it was so much loyalty. I think had Kevin Durant stayed, I think Russell Westbrook
would have dealt.
He would have left. But you know, it is what it is.
Let me say,
I would have Dame. I would take Dame over Westbrook.
No,
about their games, but I see CD's.
So
I see his reasoning. I see his, but I would.
averaged 31.6 points per game. He averaged 10.4 assists. Let's think about who was on that team. Like, you want to talk about 10.4 assists, like, who was he passing the ball to? Like, nobody. 10.7 rebounds per game. And this is the kicker, right? Because this is what everybody talks about. While shooting from the three, 34% from the three-point line, and also shooting 84% from the free throw line. Now, what happened after that? I have no clue. I don't know what happened to him. You know, I don't know what happened to his shooting. I don't know if the little stuff he was doing to his shoulder or whatever. But that MVP season, I'm sorry. He shot well from the three. I saw him ice cold in the last 2 weeks of that MVP season because I had League Pass. I was watching between him and James Harden, and he separated himself in those last 2 weeks.
I think
Impressive.
I think
he was probably never even been top 3 in MVP.
What keeps him out of any of these all-time great discussions? Well, I shouldn't say that. Let me rephrase that. What keeps him out of the top part of the all-time great discussions for me is that as time has gone on, he hasn't really learned. He doesn't have one thing he can go to, right? Like, you know, great players all have one thing they can just do better than everybody else. At one point, Westbrook's athleticism, especially at that position, was what would cause him to be set apart from everybody else's position. And then that year, a couple of years, he went insane numbers wise. It's because his athleticism. That athleticism has waned as time catches up with everybody, injuries, and he hasn't really found. He can't really find a permanent home just because, or at least it seems like he may have found a spot with the Clippers. But up until this point, he's kind of been a journeyman since he left Oklahoma City because where does he fit? What does he do? You know, what can we count on him to do other than play really hard? He plays hard. You can't say he went out there and never gave it his all. But to me, it detracts from his status in that all-time great list at his position just because he doesn't have one discernible skill that's better than everybody else.
Yeah. He's probably, he will go down as the greatest athlete probably at the point guard position. I give him that.
He could arguably be the best athlete ever in basketball.
I mean, he very well could be. I mean, you know,
6'4",
but to put him ahead of Damian Lillard when Damian Lillard has
all time
been busting his butt.
We ain't talking about the last couple of years either. I mean, you know, like
I'm talking about all time too. I don't how do you? I just don't. I don't see how you can put Russell Westbrook, who, let's be very. I mean, I just say it layman terms. I mean, he's not very like a skilled basketball player, like for real.
Mm-hmm.
Damian Lillard is a very skilled basketball player.
So okay, so what's the question? Are we saying who's
Damian Lillard is a better and he's more of a point guard than
time? Like who's better all time? Like that is that what
Damian Lillard.
So all of it. So he's better. He's a better skilled player. I agree. Yes. I agree. Better skill.
He's not a better athlete. That's the only thing I would give Westbrook I'll put a check box in his column. Right. His athleticism.
But
that's it.
We're talking all time, right?
Everything else, Dame, for sure.
So
not even close.
Tell me, let's get some comparisons here. Let's talk about it, guys. Let's talk about it. Because that's the only way we're gonna be able to break this down, right? So like, yeah, we got the MVP, right? We have an MVP. We also have a scoring title. We have, let's see here. Let me pull up. Give me just a second. I am going to take the opportunity to try to see if I can find some of Russell Westbrook career accomplishments. 2-time scoring champ, 3-time assist champ, 9-time All-Star. Of course, we know, like as I said before, MVP of the league. If somebody can give me some stats for Mr. Damian Lillard, and let me say this, by the way, I think I've said this before. Big Damian Lillard fan, definitely if I had to choose between the two now, of course, Damian Lillard, even since Russell Westbrook's MVP season, I would take Damian Lillard the entire way. But that's about it.
But what I'm saying, and this goes back to my Oscar Robertson argument. You've seen Westbrook and you've seen Damian Lillard, right? And Damian Lillard, true enough, he may not give you the total assist number, right, average wise, but Russell Westbrook averages almost double the amount of turnovers that Damian Lillard does. Mm-hmm. Also, we've witnessed some of the worst IQ moments from a starting point guard in the NBA. We've witnessed this, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas Damian Lillard is more the prototypical point guard, right? Tries to make the right decision, the right play, understands time and place in the game.
Understands guys on the floor with him.
Right. So to say that Russell Westbrook is better all time when even you would agree that he's not even the better basketball player than Damian Lillard right now.
At this moment.
How?
I mean, I've seen head to head
bias right now.
And head to head, Damian
Lillard. Don't forget Damian Lillard. Don't forget this.
Okay, so
Westbrook was on the floor for that, and he should have been guarding. He should have been on Damian Lillard, and should have passed it off to Paul George.
Right.
Paul George
got PG embarrassed.
A lot of this is recency bias. Like
it's not that. It's not that.
The past few years has been absolutely lighting up the league. But I remember when Dame first came into the league, he did not want to smoke with Russell Westbrook. Even Damian talked about it. Like Dame has actually talked about it and said, like, one of the reasons why like they go back and forth is because when he first came into the league, Russell was at him. Russell was a lot bigger. Russell is still taller, but Dame, of course, got a little size on him, so he can't bully him like he used to. But
and Russell Westbrook also had Kevin Durant.
But that we're not talking about. We're talking head up. Damian Lillard was guarding Russell Westbrook, and he could not guard at that moment. Nobody could guard Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, because he was going to the rim.
Because it doesn't matter. You just can't. You can't guard me. You got.
I mean, no, man. I'm with you. I'm with you. But those few years,
I think because of what has happened, what has transpired to Russell Westbrook these last couple of years, and how bad he's looked as far as shooting the ball, we've highlighted that for sure. That we forgot how good Russell Westbrook was in his prime days. Like, I'm sorry.
He was. We're not.
Dame has never been in the conversation for.
He's really doing the.
The only reason. Hold on. Let's be. But we have to. And again, we're talking about narrative now because we understand that MVP. A lot of it has to deal with narrative.
Okay.
Russell Westbrook had the benefit of playing with the second best player in the NBA, who up and left him. Like that was the narrative, that Kevin Durant up and left him. Right. So everybody hated Kevin Durant. Everybody loved Westbrook because remember when they played against each other, right? The first time they played against each other, that the headline was how Kevin Durant left Russell Westbrook.
Right.
So
we got MVP because Kevin.
I'm not saying that was the whole reason. I'm saying that's part of it. That's part of it. Was like, okay, man, Russell Westbrook. He squeaked them into the playoffs. He averaged a triple-double, and he did that without Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant left him.
And if I remember correctly, Westbrook, it wasn't a foregone conclusion that he was going to be the MVP that year either. If I remember correctly, I think there was a lot of it went down to like the last
Harden. James Harden.
Right?
The nail on the coffin for Russell Westbrook was the very last game of the season when he hit that game winner.
From deep.
That was the nail in the. I remember that day because that was when he won it. That's when he won it.
That was even, and it was games before that where he was just so clutch. Like it was games even before that where he was having clutch moments. But it was that shot that said, "Oh yeah, it's him. It's him." I'm sorry. Like even for me, when I seen that, to me it was him. But anyway, so let's wrap this up. So let's wrap with a tight bow. So Russell Westbrook, all-time player. For me, he's an all-time. I think he's definitely an all-time great point guard. It's really dependent. The only problem, the biggest problem with Russell Westbrook is the decision making I mean, and I would say
For a
this.
point guard,
Let's take the point
That's a
guard.
big deal.
Like, let's just say he's an all-time great player. How about that? He's an all-time great player. I mean,
no argument. No argument.
you have to be an all-time great player. Like, you just don't streak up and just say, "Oh yeah, you're an MVP."
I mean, to me, he's an all-time great point guard. He's an all-time great point guard to me. If you're talking numbers, because all-time great, if you're taking, say, 50 point guards out of how many 8,000 point guards that have played in the NBA, that's an all-time great. But to me, he's not in the top 5.
No. Oh, for sure.
But I would still say he's an all-time great point guard.
He definitely is an all-time great. A first ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely, without question.
He don't deserve to be on no top list ahead of Damian Lillard. I'm sorry. Because I know
he's hammering this point down.
Because even this, I'm sorry, man. Russell Westbrook lived off of his athleticism for about 5-6 years.
He did.
He lived off of it.
I mean,
Damian Lillard was more of a basketball player.
Probably about 10 years. Yeah. So like I said, from a skill standpoint, Dame is there. But Dame, listen, man, keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully you get traded to Miami, and then you can change the narrative yourself. Maybe get a little bit
Milwaukee
this list. Maybe get to 8 or 8 Milwaukee, right? Maybe you get to 8, 7, something like that. Who knows? But either way, let's remind the people. We have discussed top 5 point guards of all time. Number 5 was John Stockton of the Utah Jazz. The number 4 was the Big O, to some people's dismay, but number 4 was the Big O. Number 3, Isaiah Thomas, Zeke. Number 2, Steph Curry, who is still writing his story. So can he pass Magic? That's the biggest question. And number 1, of course, was Magic Johnson. Real quick, I'm gonna ask both of you guys, what does Steph Curry need to do to pass Magic Johnson as number 1? Hoopler, what you think? What does he need to do?
I definitely think another title would help. I think that's unlikely, just based on age, the way their roster is built. If he can win a championship this year with that roster, I mean, they got like 12 guards. They got nobody over 6'9" on the roster. If he can even drag them to the finals this year, I think that puts to bed a lot of reservations people have of slotting him in that number 1. But if he wins one, he would win another Finals MVP. I think winning MVP regular season is unlikely, just because historically you win a couple of them. You know, even LeBron. I mean, LeBron's won 4, and you could argue LeBron could have had 7. Like, so his last one was what, 2014, I think, something like that. So, you know, the likelihood of him winning another MVP is probably slim. I think moving up into that top 15 scoring, that type of thing will help. But I think definitely winning another title would help. And if he can squeeze out to me, he should already have another Finals MVP. I think Iguodala. I mean, I think that first year they won, he still averaged like 27 points a game, something like that. But that would do it for me. So
what you think, Boogie?
I feel like, okay, he's an all-time leader in 3-point banks. I think that there's 3 things. One, if he does one of 3 things, I think that puts him above Magic.
Okay.
If he wins a chip, if he wins another MVP, or I think if he can crack into like the top 20, top 25 in assist, I think that could possibly put him over.
Well, he better shoot for the other 2, because I don't know if he'll be in that assist range. But I'll say this.
I think I was trying to find him. He's number 45 right now.
Yeah, I actually definitely. So for me, honestly, the one, like, whenever you're that close, usually my tiebreaker is, okay, let's talk about the championships. Like, if it's that close, and it's that close, they both changed the game. One with 3-pointers, one with passing. So Magic will never be in that 3-point conversation, just like Steph Curry, I think, will never be in a conversation with Magic as a passer. But, like, winning, like, they both are winners. So, and honestly, if you think about it, Magic went head to head with Larry Bird. Steph Curry went head to head with LeBron.
LeBron,
and
right.
has stood toe to toe with him. So
Yep.
to me, I give him most 3 of his championships was against LeBron.
Yep.
I mean,
Right.
so honestly, like he's there. So I agree. Like even if it's a MVP, because that would mean if he becomes MVP, like it would have to be a monstrous season. It would have to be a monstrous season, and it would have to be number 1, number 2 seed. So
You have to leave no doubt. It has to be no doubt.
because
Scorched earth type stuff. Yeah.
scorched earth, bro. But you think of the last 5, maybe 6 MVPs, they numbers. I mean, we're talking about Giannis 2 years in a row where it was crazy numbers. Jokic like 2 years in a row, crazy numbers, and Joel crazy number 2. And they can touch more things because they can get rebounding and all that. So we'll see how it goes. But I do agree, one of those 2, it'll get Steph Curry there. But definitely one of the game's greatest for sure. So listen, watch your narrative. We really want to know. This is what I want to know. And unfortunately, a lot of our listeners, they're probably like JP. They probably just don't cherish the old heads, the big old.
Oh no, I cherish them.
You know what I'm saying?
But I'm a
old.
realist.
So we want to know what you guys think of our list. Send us your list. Like, go to the comment section. Actually, send us your list. And so then, matter of fact, maybe next episode we'll go on. We'll talk about your list. As I mentioned before, we're on Spotify. Go to our Spotify page, our Anchor Spotify page. You can actually go there, and you'll be able to see where you can actually go on and leave us a voice message. Let us know what you think. Let us know what questions you have. But as you see on the screen here for our YouTube people, you are looking at some of the better, greatest point guards. And as you can see, tier 1. Well, who name is that? I can't see. I got my glass. Oscar Robertson. This is his name. The Big O. The Big O. Yeah. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are out. Watch your narrative. Let's go.